Hello and good day everyone. We are from Group 6 of ECC3831 Basic Electromagnetism. We are here to present our final video for the chosen electromagnetic theorem, which is Lenz's law.
So, let us start from the introduction and background of Lenz's law. These two scientists make the significant contribution to the discovery of Lenz's law. First, Michael Faraday, a scientist from United Kingdom. In 1831, he discovered that electromagnetic induction, which established that a changing magnetic field could induce an electric current in a nearby conductor. His experiment focused on the relationship between the magnet and coil of wire, where he observed the production of electric current when a magnetic field was in motion. Faraday's experiment laid the foundation for the discovery of Lenz's law. Next, Heinrich Lenz, a scientist from Russia. He further expanded on Faraday's work and he discovered that the directional relationship between the induced magnetic field, voltage, and current when a magnetic field is applied to a conductor. Lenz's experiment showed the direction of the induced current is such that it opposed to the change in magnetic field that produced it, then formulate Lenz's law. Lenz published his finding in a paper titled On the Direction of Galvanic Current which are excited through electrodynamic induction in 1833. In short, Lenz's law is a fundamental law of electromagnetism that describes the direction of an induced current in a conductor when it is exposed to a changing magnetic field. It was formulated by Heinrich Lenz in 1833.
Hello everyone, so my name is Ahmad Faiezun Ahmad Fariz with matrix number 209954. So here I will present to you about the theory of Lenz's law. So first part is I will present to you about the Lenz's law itself. What does it mean by Lenz's law and how does it works? So Lenz's law states that the induced current in a conductor opposes the change in magnetic field that produces it. What does it mean? When a current is induced by a magnetic field, then the magnetic field produced by the induced current, it will create its magnetic field. Then this magnetic field will be opposed by the magnetic field that created it. Lenz's law is based on Faraday's law of induction, which says a changing magnetic field will induce a current in a conductor, whereas Lenz's law tells us about the direction of the induced current, which opposes the initial changing magnetic field which produces it. Hence, this is signified in the formula for Faraday's law by the negative sign. Hello everyone, so for the next part is I will present to you how does Lenz's law works. So for this part, I will give you two cases which will include a bar magnet and also a coil. So first part, we consider a bar magnet that is moving towards a coil, and we will use a Lenz's law to explain the polarity of the electromagnetic force. When the bar magnet moves toward the coil experiences an increase in flux linkage. Lenz's law tells us about the induced electromagnetic force is such that we try to set up an induced current to create a magnetic field to oppose the increasing flux linkage experienced by the coil. The induced electromagnetic force in the coil will set up the nose pole at the side that closer to the bar magnet and south pole at the face further away. It will produce magnetic field induced by the nose, and the nose and the south pole will go towards the bar magnet, which will oppose the magnetic field that creates by the bar magnet itself. Hence, by using the right hand rule, which is this one, we will know the induced current in the coil. The net effect of the magnetic field that creates from the coil and bar magnet is to reduce the increasing flux linkage that the coil is experiencing. So the work done on the magnet has to be equal to the electrical energy in the coil. Therefore, the end of which faces the magnet cannot be south pole. The energy will not be conserved. So that's all for the first case. Next one is the second case where the bar magnet move further away from the coil. The pole will set up the south pole closest side to the bar magnet, and the coil will experiences a decrease in flux linkage. In Lenz's law, there will be an induced electromagnetic field that set up an induced current to oppose the decreasing magnetic flux linkage experienced by the coil. The induced electromagnetic field will try to attract the bar magnet to reduce the decreasing in the flux linkage. So that's all for the second case. Then next I will explain to you how to use the right hand rule. So to use the right hand rule, we will use right hand and do thumbs up. Our thumbs will indicate the direction of the induced current, while other four fingers will indicate our magnetic force. To use it, we need to curl our four fingers, follow as the magnetic force on the coil. Then we can determine the induced current by looking at our thumb's direction. So that's all for theory of Lenz's law. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kartik Raj and my metric number is 210909. Today, I'll be explaining the equation of Lenz's law. Lenz's law, as you all know, Lenz's law is a fundamental principle in electromagnetism that describes the direction of induced current and magnetic field which produces changing magnetic field. In brief, Lenz's law used to determine the polarity of the induced EMF which opposes the changing magnetic flux produced. Mathematically, Lenz's law can be expressed using this following equation: epsilon, negative, and d phi over dt. Epsilon represents the electromotive force or induced voltage, and represents the number of turns in coil. D phi represents the change in magnetic flux, and dt represents the change in time. So that's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Nuraina Syadina Binti Abdul Halim and my metric number is 212372. Now I will be presenting the experiments of Lenz's law. The first experiment concluded that when an electric current flows through a coil of wire, it generates a magnetic field around the coil. When the electric current passing through the coil increases, the strength of the magnetic field produced by the coil also increases. To counteract this increase, the induced current in the circuit flows in a direction that creates a magnetic field opposing the increasing magnetic flux. For the second experiment, it concluded that a coil carrying an electric current is wound around an iron rod. The left end of the coil is behaving as the north pole. Additionally, there is another coil referred to as coil S, which is in proximity to the first coil. When the current carrying coil is moved towards coil S, it causes a change in the magnetic field experienced by coil S. This change in the magnetic field induces an electric current in coil S. For the third experiment, it concluded that as the coil is pulled towards the magnetic field, a change occurs in the magnetic flux linked with the coil. To produce the current, force is exerted by the magnet in the loop. The induced current in the coil exerts a force on the magnet to oppose the change that caused its generation. When the coil moves towards the magnetic field, the induced current flows in a direction that creates a magnetic field opposing the change in magnetic flux. This opposing magnetic field interacts with the original magnetic field, resulting in a force exerted on the magnet or the coil itself. For these three experiments, it shows that the Lenz's law theory is proven.
Next, I would like to proceed the presentation with real-life application of Lenz's law. Before I begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Lim Yin Sheng and my metric number is 210382. The first application of Lenz's law in real life is in the induction cooker. According to Lenz's law, when electric current passes through the induction coil, changing magnetic field is generated. By creating a changing magnetic field, eddy currents are induced within the base of the cookware. The presence of eddy currents will result in the dissipation of electrical energy as heat due to the resistance of the material of the cookware. In this case, Lenz's law is able to improve the energy efficiency of conduction cooker since the opposition of the eddy currents to the changing magnetic field reduces energy loss, as majority of the electrical currents is converted into heat within the cookware rather than being wasted. The second application of Lenz's law in real life is in electric generator. Generally, an electric generator consists of a rotor, which is a coil of wire, and a stationary magnetic field generated by the stator as shown in the image. The rotor of the electric generator is connected to an external mechanical energy source such as a turbine or an engine that supplies the necessary rotational energy to the generator. Lenz's law comes into play when the rotor coil rotates within the magnetic field. Magnetic field passing through the rotating coil of the wire changes as the rotor rotates within the stator. The changing magnetic field induces an electromotive force, EMF, in the conductor, which is the rotor in this case, which will convert mechanical energy into electrical energy. Lenz's law allows the direction of the induced current in response to the changing magnetic field to be determined. Next, metal detectors also applies Lenz's law. Metal detectors consist of a coil of wire connected to an oscillating current source. This coil produces an oscillating magnetic field around it. Eddy currents will be induced when a varying magnetic field passes through a conductor. According to Lenz's law, the induced eddy currents in the metallic object create a magnetic field that opposes the change in the original magnetic field of the metal detector's coil. The opposing magnetic field generated by the induced eddy currents will affect the original magnetic field produced by the metal detector's coil. The alteration in the coil's magnetic field will lead to the metal to be detected by the detection circuit of the metal detector. Last but not least, Lenz's law plays a critical role in electromagnetic braking systems that are used widely in trains. In an electromagnetic braking system, a magnetic field is created by a stationary electromagnet or a permanent magnet. When the conductor, which is the braking disc or the rail, moves through this magnetic field, the magnetic flux passing through the conductor will changes, inducing eddy currents within the conductor. The opposing magnetic field created by the eddy currents will exert a braking force on the moving conductor, which is the wheel in this case, which will resulting in deceleration or complete stopping of the motion. The use of Lenz's law in electromagnetic braking system will ensure that the braking force is proportional to the speed of the moving conductor, which is the wheels, making the braking system efficient and responsive.